Hello everyone, and welcome to lindasueplantsforyou. Today I'm going to do a video on some updates on some plants that I propagated a while ago. Or I should say I took cuttings from. I'm going to start with, let's start with the easiest one, I guess. And that would be my black leaf Begonia. Now, we took some cuttings quite a while ago, and unfortunately I didn't have either the optimum conditions or health-wise the ability to do what I really needed to do to make this a success. But we did have some success, so I'm going to share that with you today. And hopefully, let's get these out of the way. You can see this. And these are the begonia leaves that I propagated. One of the things that I wasn't able to do is check it regularly to let the air in and out of the bag. I had it inside of a bag, and unfortunately because of that I ended up with some rot, which, you know, it's not a big deal, it's my own fault, but it couldn't be helped. So I am going to take the ones out of here that I did have success with. And where did I put my spoon? I know I got it. Well, maybe I meant to get it. It's possible. Okay, here's the first one. And this one I did in sphagnum moss. And this worked out very well. Except, I don't know, I'm seeing some white stuff on there I don't like. And this is what we have right now, and there are a few little roots on there, but I need to be done with this because this is starting to stink, and like I said, it wasn't getting, I don't think it was getting enough light, to be honest with you. When I first planted these, I explained to you how see, that's mildew. I used to have great success just planting in vermiculite. That's all I ever used, and it worked great. But under the conditions that this was under, it didn't work so good. So my best rooting method for this guy, for this time, was sphagnum moss. And most of you know that is not my favorite thing to use. I don't like it. And the biggest reason I don't like it is because when you go to take it out, if you are successful and you have roots, it's often very hard to tell the roots from the moss. And so that's really my reason for not using it, and not liking to use it, I should say. But this time around it worked out okay. But as you can see, once again, very difficult to tell where the roots start and the sphagnum ends. So I'm probably not going to use this method again, even though it worked pretty well as far as producing a new baby. And this plant really doesn't have a very big root system to begin with, so that's pretty hard to tell. That's all that's on there. In fact, I think this is sphagnum here. Yeah, it is. So that is all the roots that we got on here. But it's rooted nevertheless, and I have a whole new plant out of it. So, I'm going to stick this plant, we're going to get rid of this mess. I'm going to throw that out, and I'm going to take this leaf off of here this was what I started the cutting with, just a piece of my leaf, and we did get a little guy out of it. So what I'm going to do is put it in with my big plant, because what I really was after here is to make this a bigger, fuller plant. So I'm going to make a little hole, bring that a little closer so you don't need x-ray vision to see it. And I'm making the hole quite large too, by the way. And I see I got a dead leaf on there. Now this plant, the leaves are generally very, very dark. For some reason, they seem to be a little faded on the mother plant here. And I think that is the time of year is part of the problem, but okay, I really wanted to get the old piece off, but that's not coming off, so we're just going to leave it on there. It won't hurt anything. It'll either keep producing more babies or it'll rot off eventually. And either way, it works for me. Okay. So we're going to stick that in there. Squirt a little water in there so it stays up, because my soil was quite dry, and that could also be the reason for the faded leaves that will happen. Okay, I got her in there, and I think we'll stick one more right here where it's kind of bare, but this one doesn't have to go down very far. Just below the soil. Come on. Okay. All right. And then we will put her back in my dining room east window. That's where she lives, and she seems to like it there. Got a little crisping here. I'm not quite sure what's... Yeah, I've let it go a little too long on the watering, and that tends to be a problem for me, and mostly because I can't get to it, but... hubby's been helping with that as much as he can too, so yeah. Okay, look at all the new shoots we got coming. Boy, she's really drinking a lot right now. I just watered her yesterday and she is completely dry, and I realized she's, you know, in terracotta, but so it shouldn't be that dry already. Wow. I mean, I've got almost 60% humidity in my house right now. But, oh well. Okay. Enough about her. Now this pot I just made up real quick. This is going to be for my daughter. She fell in love with the the golden pothos, and I am going to root that up for her as well. But I already had some cuttings started of this, so I thought I would pot this up for her. This is the Marble Queen, and she's doing pretty good. She was wilting. She was trailing off, and I could not get her to perk up. If I let her dry, if I watered her, it didn't seem to matter. I'm going to cut this off. I don't like what I'm seeing here. All the leaves looked kind of like this. It was just real, just not well looking. And Excuse me. So I snipped the ends and I stuck her in water, and within just a few days I had these roots. Just let me show you these roots. Unbelievable. The length. Look at those roots. Isn't that crazy? So this roots very, very quickly. And they're all like that. So I'm just going to, I think actually, maybe I'll put them all in the middle together. I think I will do that. So this is all new soil that I'm working with. Now this soil that I made up in my green pot is actually for my succulent mixture, but it's okay. It's not going to hurt this at all. This is a very hardy plant. I was just looking at the leaf that looked like it was starting to open. Hoping it doesn't have the thrips, because these cuttings were right next to my my Begonia woodii, Maculata woodii, which I'm sure had thrips, so hopefully this will be okay. I'm going to give it one more spray, I think, and put it back in the window where it was rooting, just to be on the safe side. And we'll wait and see what happens, because I do not want to reintroduce that problem. I think I finally got rid of it, so okay. I think that's a pretty good starter. And I'll probably take a few more snips and stick them back in the soil for her before I give it to her, so it's a little fuller. But yeah, I'm not liking this leaf here, so I want to spray that, but we'll do that later. Okay. Then I wanted to show you here. You can see, well, I don't know if you can see, but I'm going to just clean out this jar, put a little more rooting powder on, and then put her back in the window. This is what I cut off the top of my Begonia Maculata woodii, and if you remember, I said I was suspecting very strongly that she had thrips. I was right. There's a lot of telltale signs of it on here. And now there were a couple leaves on the top that were not open yet. I think it was this one. And that's where those things like to go. They like to get in the unfurled leaves. And they just sit in there and munch away and do their thing. And then when the leaf opens, half of it's gone. Well, when I started noticing or suspecting that these cuttings might have been infected, I sprayed them really good. And the leaf opened, it seems, without an issue. So I think we're doing okay on there. I do not want to, I'm going to eventually put it back in with the mother plant, but I'm not quite ready to do that. I want to make sure that she is healthy and ready to go before I reintroduce her there. Okay. And then there's this. This is my Adonsonii. And she is finally starting to root. And as you can see, she also has some thrips damage on the leaf. And I did suspect that, which is why I took the cuttings. And hopefully I caught it in time. I did spray her really good, and she didn't seem to be affected by the spray. But there are little telltale signs of the thrips here, so This one too, I'm just going to change the water. I'm going to re-snip the very bottom, give her a fresh cut where that's kind of, you know, getting yellow there. It's getting soft. We don't want that in the water. So all I'm going to do is freshen these up, and then they'll be ready to go. And last but not least is my, I should say are my Black Knight. Those of you that follow me on a regular basis hopefully will remember that I did a whole cutting on there. I chopped her back pretty hard. She was trailing down the side. I'll see if I can locate that and put a picture of that in this video. But she was trailing down the side and almost to the floor. But she had a lot of stem without leaves, and that was because at one point I moved her to a different spot, and that spot was not getting enough light. So once I realized what I was doing wrong there, I did put her in a brighter light, and she grew really well. And I had my daughter and granddaughter both wanted a cutting from her, so I just cut the whole thing back. And she's doing really well right now. In fact, I'll show you that when I'm done here. And these are from that plant. These are, well, this is a stem, obviously. And I think I'm just going to put that, well, maybe I don't need to put the whole thing in there. Let's set that aside for now. But these were all, with the exception of, I think I had 2 stems in here, the rest of this was all from a single leaf. And I want to show you that. And here again, I did use sphagnum moss. So once again, we have that issue. And I'm not going to make you guys sit here and wait while I pick every one of these apart. I'm just going to do it, and then I'll come back and show you the end result, because we'll be here till midnight. Okay, I'm taking the spag off of the roots, but I wanted you to see, for those new plant people, plant moms and dads, this is how you can make new plants out of succulent leaves. And you can do this with so many different plants, Echeveria and jade, and I mean pretty much any kind of succulent that has this thick leaf. And you don't have to have sphagnum moss either. You can simply stick the end of this leaf in the soil, just touching the soil, keep it moist, and it will grow. And in some cases, I've had them on plates, and they, with no soil and no water, and they still get roots. I think it really just depends a lot on the health of your plant. You do want to make sure it's watered well before you take these cuttings, because they need that water in their system while they're developing roots. And that's with a lot of plants. So now here's one that's just got roots with no plant. So, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to plant that all in here for now. Originally I talked about putting these each in a separate pot, but folks, I just don't have the room. I honestly do not have the room or the light, you know, the bright light. Even if I could make room somewhere, which I don't know where I would, because I really am out of room. I do have bottom shelves on my dining room, my shelving that I got from IKEA, and the intention of those were to put a light underneath there so that I can utilize the bottom shelves. But that has become very difficult for me to reach. So I'm not sure if or when we'll get to doing that, but for right now, it doesn't even pay, because I wouldn't be able to really get to it very easily. So I'm just going to put all these in here, and I'm going to put this on my top shelf of those shelving units, and stick it in my south window and hope for the best. And I know they're going to grow very quickly, so I will probably have to do another video real soon. Certainly before the end of summer, maybe even in a month or two. It depends on how quickly these grow. And then I'm not sure what I'm going to do. I can't drive right now, and I can't get myself to the post office, so if I could, I would have you all send me your address with just what it costs to ship it to you, but I can't do it. I can't get to the post office. And my friends, my family does so much for me already with things that I absolutely have to have, from the pharmacy and taking me to doctor appointments and tests and things like that, that the last thing I want to do is ask them to go to the post office to mail plants, and I'm sure you all can understand that. So I'm not sure what I'm going to do with this yet, but I don't have the heart to throw them away. They're green and they're alive and they're healthy. I thought about putting them on a table out in front and just put a free sign on, and I'm not sure. I'm not sure that I'm not just going to do that and make somebody happy, right? All right, I'm going to go ahead and put these all in here, and then I'll be back and I'll give you a shot at the original plant that I've got back in the stand, and also what this is going to look like when it's done. So I'll be back shortly. Okay, and now I've completed the transfer. The propagation is done, thank goodness. My goodness, that was a mess with that sphagnum moss. But here they are. Here's my new vase with my tops of my begonias, and hopefully she's going to be okay. And like I said earlier, once this starts getting a good set of roots, and I know she's completely free of any residue from the thrips, I'm going to put her back in with the mother plant. And everything else is pretty much done. I changed the water and cut the roots on this one. This is the Adonsonii. I snipped the very end of it, the tip of it, and put new rooting powder on, fresh water in a fresh glass. So I think we're done for today. I'm going to show you a close-up in a moment of the mother plant, the mother plant. But this is what we have out of all of the cuttings. There are more, but I couldn't fit any more in here. So that's what we have for now. But let me just take you off my stand here and take you over to the mother plant and show you what she looks like.